Lila Carson had learned early that hope was expensive. Too expensive for someone who counted pennies at the end of every shift, who walked home in the dark because taxi rides cost more than dinner, who smiled at strangers for tips while her feet bled into worn-out shoes. She was 26, but her hands looked older. Her eyes, too. They had the kind of tired in them that sleep couldn't fix. She worked at a diner called the Blue Moon on the edge of the city, where truckers stopped for coffee and businessmen slummed it when they wanted to feel real. The floors were sticky. The lights hummed. The air smelled like grease and regret. But it was hers, this little corner of survival. She knew every table, every crack in the vinyl booths, every regular who left $2 and called it generous. Her mother was dying. Not quickly, but slowly, in that cruel way that gave you time to watch and grieve and run out of money all at once. Cancer, they said. Stage 4. Lila had stopped asking about treatments she couldn't afford. She just worked. Double shifts. Triple when she could. She worked until her body forgot what rest felt like. Before we go on, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. On a Tuesday night in November, when the rain hammered the windows and the diner was nearly empty, a man walked in. Lila didn't notice him at first. She was wiping down tables, her mind somewhere else, counting bills, calculating days, wondering if she could stretch another week before the landlord came knocking. But then she looked up. He sat in the corner booth, alone. He didn't look like the others. His coat was tailored, dark, expensive. His hands rested on the table, still and deliberate, like a man who never fidgeted, never doubted. His face was hard to read, not unkind, but closed, locked, like a door you didn't knock on unless you were invited. Lila walked over with her pad and her rehearsed smile. "What can I get you?" He ordered black coffee, nothing else. His voice was low, smooth, the kind that didn't need to be loud to be heard. She poured his cup and left him alone. That was the rule with men like that. You didn't linger. You didn't ask questions. But she watched him. Not because he was handsome, though he was. Not because he looked dangerous, though he did. She watched him because he looked * a Lone Star. And she understood that. Loneliness was a language she spoke fluently. He stayed for an hour. Maybe 2. He didn't read. Didn't touch his phone. Just sat there, staring out the rain-streaked window like he was waiting for something that would never come. When he finally stood to leave, he dropped a $50 bill on the table and walked out without looking back. Lila stared at the money. It was more than she made in a night, more than she'd seen in one place in weeks. Her hands shook as she picked it up, and then she saw it. The wallet, black leather, thick, left behind on the seat. She grabbed it without thinking, ran to the door, but he was already gone. Just taillights disappearing into the rain. Lila stood there, breathless, holding a stranger's wallet in her hands. She should have left it at the counter, should have let someone else deal with it. But something stopped her. Curiosity, maybe, or desperation. She opened it. Inside, cash. A lot of it, more than she'd ever held. Crisp bills stacked neatly, like they'd never been touched. No cards, no ID, just money and a small business card with a phone number printed in black ink. No name. She stood there in the rain, water soaking through her thin jacket, and felt the weight of a choice she didn't want to make. She could keep it. God knew she needed it. Her mother's medication alone cost more than she made in a month. The rent was overdue. The electric company had sent a final notice. This money could fix everything. For a little while, at least. But Lila Carson had been raised by a woman who believed that integrity was all you had when you had nothing else. And even though that belief had left them both broke and broken, Lila couldn't shake it. So she pulled out her phone, typed the number from the card. Her fingers hesitated over the keys. Then she pressed send. *Hi. You left your wallet at the Blue Moon Diner. I'm a waitress here. I have it. Let me know when you want to pick it up. *. She hit send before she could change her mind. The reply came faster than she expected. *. Keep it safe. I'll come for it tomorrow. Asterisk. No thank you. No surprise. Just certainty. Lila went home that night with the wallet in her bag and a strange feeling in her chest. Like she'd just done something she couldn't undo. She didn't know his name yet. Didn't know what he did or why he carried that much cash or why he'd left it behind. She didn't know that the wallet wasn't forgotten. That the $50 bill wasn't generosity. That every second since he'd walked out of that diner, she'd been watched. She didn't know that this was a test. And she'd just passed. Lila didn't sleep that night. She lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to her mother's labored breathing in the next room. The wallet sat on her nightstand like a living thing. She'd counted the money 3 times. $2,000. Exact. Neat. The kind of money that didn't belong in a diner booth. She thought about the man. The way he'd sat so still. The way his eyes had passed over her without really seeing her. Like she was part of the furniture. Invisible. That was fine. She was used to being invisible. But something about him stayed with her. The weight of his silence. The coldness in his composure. He wasn't like the other men who came into the blue moon. The loud ones. The lonely ones. The ones who talked too much or touched too long. He was different. Controlled. Like he'd trained himself not to feel. By morning, she was exhausted. She dragged herself to the diner, the wallet tucked deep in her purse. Her shift started at 6. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still gray, heavy with the kind of cold that sank into your bones. She kept checking her phone. No new messages. Hours passed. Breakfast rush. Lunch prep. The usual faces, the usual orders. She poured coffee, wiped tables, smiled when she was supposed to. But her mind was somewhere else. At 2 in the afternoon, the door opened. He walked in. Same coat, same stillness. But this time, he looked directly at her. Lila felt her breath catch. She wiped her hands on her apron and walked over, pulling the wallet from her purse. You're here for this. He took it from her without checking inside, without counting. Just slipped it into his coat pocket like it had never been gone. Thank you, he said. His voice was the same, low, deliberate, but there was something else in it now, something that made her feel seen. It's no problem, Lila said quickly. I couldn't keep it. He studied her for a moment, not the way men usually looked at her, not with hunger or dismissal. This was different, calculating, like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. What's your name? He asked. Lila. He nodded slowly. Lila, do you know who I am? She shook her head. Good. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope, placed it on the table between them. This is for you. Lila stared at it. I don't want your money. I just wanted to return your wallet. I know. His eyes didn't leave hers. That's why you're getting it. Before she could argue, he turned and walked out. Just like that. Gone. Lila stood there, frozen. Then she grabbed the envelope. Inside, $500, and a card with a single line of text. Asterisk if you ever need help, call this number. Asterisk. The same number she'd texted the night before. She didn't know it yet, but that card was a key. And she'd just unlocked a door she couldn't close. The next few days were strange. Lila kept the card in her pocket, always aware of its presence. She didn't call, didn't text, but she thought about him. The man with no name. The wallet that wasn't really lost. Her mother's condition worsened. The hospital bills piled higher. The landlord stopped accepting excuses. And Lila worked. She worked until her hands cramped, until her feet screamed, until exhaustion was the only thing she felt. And then one night, it happened. She was closing the diner alone. It was late, past midnight. The streets were empty. She locked the door, pulled her coat tight, and started walking home. She didn't hear them at first. Didn't see them until they were already there. 3 men, blocking her path. Hey, sweetheart, one of them said. His smile was all wrong. Walking alone. That's dangerous. Lila's heart slammed against her ribs. She stepped back. They stepped forward. "We're not gonna hurt you," another one said. "We just want your purse." Her purse. The tips from tonight. The money she needed for her mother's medication. "Please," she whispered. "I don't have much." "Then it won't take long." One of them reached for her, and Lila did the only thing she could think of. She pulled out her phone, opened her contacts, found the number, pressed call. It rang once. Then a voice answered. "Calm. Steady. Lila." He knew it was her. No hesitation. No surprise. Her voice broke. "I need help." "Where are you?" She told him. "The street. The corner." "Don't move," he said. "I'm coming." The line went dead. The men laughed. "Who was that?" "Your boyfriend." Lila didn't answer. She just stood there, clutching her phone, praying she hadn't just made the worst mistake of her life. 5 minutes passed, maybe less. Then headlights cut through the dark. A black car pulled up. Smooth, silent, expensive. The door opened. He stepped out. The men froze. He didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Just looked at them. And they ran. Lila's legs gave out. She collapsed against the wall, shaking. He walked over, crouched down in front of her. "You're safe now." She looked up at him. This stranger. This man who'd come when she called. "Who are you?" she whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he stood, held out his hand. "Come with me." And without knowing why, without thinking, Lila took it. His name was Dante Moetti. She learned it in the car. Not because he told her. He didn't. She saw it on a call that came through his phone. A name lit up on the screen. Asterisk Moetti did asterisk, and when he answered, his voice changed. Harder. Colder. The voice of a man who gave orders and expected them followed. Lila sat in the passenger seat, her hands folded in her lap, her body still trembling. The car smelled like leather and something darker. Smoke, maybe, or danger. She wasn't sure anymore. "Where are we going?" she asked quietly. "Somewhere safe." "I need to go home. My mother." "I know about your mother." His eyes stayed on the road. "She's been moved to a private facility. Better care. Better doctors. It's handled." Lila's breath stopped. "What? How do you?" "I know a lot of things, Lila." Panic clawed at her chest. "You can't just." "I can." He glanced at her then, just briefly. "And I did. She's safe. You're safe. That's all that matters right now." Lila wanted to scream, wanted to demand answers, but the words stuck in her throat because part of her, the exhausted, terrified part, was relieved. Her mother was somewhere clean, somewhere with doctors who didn't rush, somewhere she could breathe. But the cost, God, the cost. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. Dante didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was softer, almost gentle. "Nothing you're not willing to give." The car pulled into a gated driveway, tall iron gates, stone walls, the kind of place that didn't exist on any map. The gates opened without him pressing anything, like they knew he was coming. The house, no, the estate, loomed ahead, modern, cold, beautiful in the way a knife was beautiful. Lila stepped out of the car, her legs unsteady. "I can't stay here." "You can't go home." Dante came around to her side. "Those men weren't random, Lila. They were sent." Her blood went cold. "Sent? By who?" "People who want to hurt me." His jaw tightened. "And they'll use you to do it." "But I'm nobody. I'm just." "You texted me. You returned my wallet. You called me when you were in trouble." He looked at her then, really looked at her. "That makes you somebody." If this story has already found a place in your heart, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check the description box below for more stories that stay long after they end. Lila wanted to run, wanted to scream. But where would she go? Back to her empty apartment? Back to the streets where men with knives waited? So she followed him inside. The house was exactly what she expected. Clean lines, expensive furniture, everything in its place. But it felt empty, like a museum, like no one really lived there. Dante led her upstairs to a guest room. It was bigger than her entire apartment. A king bed, soft lighting, a view of a city that glittered like broken glass. "You'll stay here," he said, "until it's safe." "And when will that be?" He paused in the doorway. "When I say so." Then he was gone. Lila stood alone in that beautiful, suffocating room and realized the truth. She wasn't a guest. She was a prisoner. Days blurred together. Dante was rarely there. He left early, came back late. When he was home, he moved through the house like a ghost, silent, watchful, always on the phone, always working. She didn't know what he did, didn't want to know, but she heard things, voices through walls, names she didn't recognize, words like asterisk shipment asterisk and asterisk territory asterisk and asterisk problem solved star, words that made her skin crawl. She tried to leave once, got as far as the front gate before a man in a black suit stopped her. Polite, firm. "Mr. Moetti prefers you stay inside, Miss Carson." She went back to her room and cried. But then something shifted. One night, Dante came home late. She heard the door open, heard his footsteps in the hall. Usually, he went straight to his office. But this time, he stopped outside her door. A soft knock. "Lila, are you awake?" She didn't answer. The door opened anyway. He stood in the doorway, his coat gone, his shirt unbuttoned at the collar. He looked tired, more human than she'd seen him. "I brought you something," he said. He held up a bag. Inside, books, novels, the kind she used to read before life got too heavy for stories. "How did you?" "I pay attention." He set the bag on the dresser. "I know you're angry. I know you feel trapped. But I'm trying, Lila. I'm trying to keep you alive." She looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, she saw it. The weight he carried, the exhaustion, the fear he hid behind that iron mask. "Who are you afraid of?" she asked quietly. Dante's jaw tightened. "Everyone." He left before she could say anything else. But that night, Lila didn't feel quite so alone. Time became strange in Dante Moetti's house. Days folded into each other, indistinguishable except for the light that changed outside her window. Morning gold, afternoon gray, evening violet. Lila stopped counting, stopped asking when she could leave, because every time she did, Dante's answer was the same. Not yet. She learned the rhythms of the house. The staff who came and went like shadows, a housekeeper who never spoke, a cook who left meals that Lila barely touched, men in suits who walked the grounds with guns hidden under their jackets. She learned that Dante left before dawn and returned after dark, that he moved through his own home like he didn't belong there, that he slept less than she did. She learned that safety and captivity looked exactly the same. Her mother was thriving. The doctors called with updates. She was responding to treatment, gaining strength, asking about her daughter. Lila should have been grateful, should have been relieved. But every good report felt like another chain, another reason she couldn't leave. "How much does this cost?" she asked Dante one night. He'd come home early, surprising her in the library where she'd been reading. "The facility, the doctors, all of it." "It doesn't matter." "It does to me." He poured himself a drink. "Whiskey. Neat. You can't pay it back, Lila. So stop trying to calculate the debt." "Then what do you want?" Her voice cracked. "Why are you doing this?" Dante stayed into his glass. "Because you gave back the wallet." "That's not a reason." "It's the only one that matters." He drank, set the glass down. "Do you know how many people would have kept it? How many would have lied, stolen, disappeared?" He looked at her then. "You didn't. You called. You cared star. In my world, that's rarer than you think. Lila felt something shift in her chest. Your world sounds lonely. It is. He left the room before she could say anything else. Weeks passed, maybe a month. Lila stopped tracking time altogether. She read the books Dante brought her, walked the gardens when she was allowed, watched the city lights from her window and wondered if anyone down there remembered her, if the diner had replaced her, if her old life still existed. She saw Dante more now, not because he sought her out, but because their paths crossed. Morning coffee in the kitchen, late nights when neither of them could sleep. He didn't talk much, but he listened. And slowly, carefully, she started to see him differently. If you've ever felt torn between fear and love, you'll understand her. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check the description box below. Your support keeps stories like this alive. There were moments, small ones, like the night she found him on the balcony, staring at the city with something close to grief in his eyes. She didn't ask what he was thinking, just stood beside him. And after a while, he spoke. I was 8 when my father died, shot in the street like a dog. His voice was flat, emotionless. My mother raised me alone, taught me that weakness was death, that trust was a luxury we couldn't afford. He paused. She was right. Lila didn't know what to say, so she just stayed there, silent, present. I'm sorry, she whispered finally. Don't be. It made me who I am. And who is that? He looked at her. Someone who doesn't deserve your kindness. She started noticing things. The way he checked on her without being obvious about it. The way he made sure her favorite tea was always stocked. The way he flinched when she got too close to the windows. One night, she woke to shouting. Men's voices. Angry. She crept to her door, heart pounding. Can't keep her here forever, Dante. I'll do what I need to do. She's a liability. You know the rules. I make the rules. Silence. Then footsteps. Heavy. Retreating. Lila pressed her back against the door, breathing hard. The next morning, Dante was different. Tense. Coiled. He barely looked at her during breakfast. What's happening? She asked. Nothing you need to worry about. Stop lying to me. His eyes snapped to hers. For a moment, she thought he'd yell, but instead, he exhaled slowly. There are people who think you're a weakness, a distraction. He set down his coffee. They want me to let you go. Her stomach dropped, and I told them no. Why? Dante stood, walked to the window. Because if I let you go, they'll kill you, and I won't let that happen. Lila felt something crack open inside her. You barely know me. I know enough. He left the room, left her standing there, trembling, realizing the terrible truth. She wasn't just a prisoner. She was his. Lila stopped sleeping. Every night, she lay in that enormous bed and stared at the ceiling, listening to the house breathe around her. She heard Dante's footsteps in the hall, heard him pause outside her door, heard him walk away. She wondered what he was thinking. If he regretted saving her. If he wished he'd never walked into that diner. She wondered if she did. Her mother was getting better. The doctors were optimistic. They talked about discharge, about recovery, about a future Lila couldn't imagine anymore. Because what future was there? What life waited for her outside these walls? She'd lost her job, lost her apartment, lost the small, fragile existence she'd built from nothing. And in its place, this. Luxury and isolation. Safety and captivity. A man who protected her like she was something precious and watched her like she was something dangerous. She didn't know which was worse. One afternoon, Dante found her in the garden. She was sitting on a stone bench, a book forgotten in her lap, staring at nothing. You're unhappy, he said. Not a question. A statement. I'm trapped. You're alive. Is there a difference? He sat beside her, close enough that she felt the heat of him, far enough that she could still breathe. I know this isn't easy, he said quietly, but it won't be forever. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Lila turned to look at him, really look, at the sharp line of his jaw, the shadows under his eyes, the way he held himself like he was always braced for a blow. What happens when it's over? She asked. When I'm not your problem anymore. Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like pain. You go back to your life. What life? Her voice broke. I don't have anything left. Then you start over. With what? I have no money, no job, no. I'll make sure you have everything you need. He stood abruptly. Money, a place to live, whatever you want. Lila stood too. I don't want your money, Dante. I want my life back. Your life almost got you killed. At least it was mine. The words hung between them. Sharp, raw. Dante's jaw tightened. I'm trying to protect you. I didn't ask you to. No, you just called me when you needed help. His voice was cold now, distant, and I came. I will always come, whether you want me to or not. He walked away, left her standing there in the garden, shaking with anger and something else, something she didn't want to name. That night, she tried to leave again. She waited until the house was dark, crept downstairs, found a side door that looked less guarded. Her heart hammered as she turned the handle. It opened. She stepped outside. The night air hit her face, cold and real. Freedom. Finally. She made it 10 steps before he found her. Lila. She spun around. Dante stood in the doorway, backlit by the house, his face in shadow. Don't, she whispered. Please, I can't do this anymore. You'll die out there. Maybe, but at least I'll die free. He moved fast, too fast, closed the distance between them in seconds, grabbed her arm, not hard, but firm, desperate. I won't let you. You don't get to decide that. I already did. They stood there, breathing hard, too close, his hand on her arm, her pulse racing. She should have been afraid, should have pulled away. Instead, she looked up at him, and for the first time, she saw it, the truth he'd been hiding. He wasn't keeping her here because she was a liability. He was keeping her here because he couldn't let her go. Dante, she whispered. His grip loosened. His hand fell away. Go inside, Lila. Why are you doing this? He didn't answer, just turned and walked back into the house. And Lila followed, not because she had to, because she wanted to. Everything changed the night Dante came home bleeding. Lila was reading in the library when she heard the door slam. Footsteps, uneven, heavy. She set down her book, heart racing, and moved to the doorway. He was in the foyer, leaning against the wall, one hand pressed to his side. Blood seeped between his fingers. His shirt was torn. His face was pale. Dante, she ran to him. Oh my God! What happened? It's nothing. But his voice was strained, tight with pain. You're bleeding. I've had worse. Where's your doctor? Your people. Gone. Handled it. He pushed himself off the wall. Swayed. Just need to. His legs gave out. Lila caught him. Or tried to. They went down together, hard, his weight pinning her to the floor. Dante, stay awake. His eyes fluttered. I'm fine. You're not fine. Yo, she looked at the blood spreading across his shirt. Panic clawed at her throat. Tell me what to do. First aid kit. Upstairs. My room. She ran. Flew up the stairs, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might explode. Found his room. She'd never been inside before. It was sparse, cold, impersonal except for a single photo on the nightstand. A woman. Dark hair. Sad eyes. His mother. Lila grabbed the kit and ran back. Dante was still on the floor, his breathing shallow. She knelt beside him, hands shaking as she tore open his shirt. The wound wasn't deep. A graze. But it was bleeding badly. I don't know what I'm doing, she whispered. Pressure. Stop the bleeding first. She pressed gauze against the wound. He hissed, grabbed her wrist. Harder. I'll hurt you. Do it. She pressed harder. His blood soaked through the gauze, warm and terrifying against her hands. She worked quickly, clumsily, cleaning the wound, wrapping it, her own breath coming in gasps. Who did this? She asked. Doesn't matter. It matters to me. He looked at her then, really looked. Why? Because, she stopped, swallowed hard. Because I care, okay? I care if you live or die. I care if someone's trying to kill you. I care. Her voice broke. Dante reached up, touched her face. His hand was blood-stained but gentle. You shouldn't, he whispered. Too late. If your heart's racing too, take a breath. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check the description box below for more unforgettable love stories. She helped him upstairs. He leaned on her, heavy and human, and she felt the weight of him in a way that made her chest ache. Got him to his bed. Helped him lie down. You should call someone, she said. A real doctor. You did fine. Dante. Stay. His eyes closed. Just stay. So she did. She sat beside his bed and watched him breathe. Watched his chest rise and fall. Watched the color slowly return to his face. And somewhere in those quiet hours, she understood. She wasn't leaving. Not because she couldn't. Because she didn't want to. When he woke, it was dawn. Soft light filtered through the curtains. Lila had fallen asleep in the chair, her head resting on the edge of the bed, one hand still near his. Dante looked at her. This woman who'd saved him with shaking hands and fierce determination. This woman he'd imprisoned to protect. This woman he stopped that thought before it could finish. Lila, he said softly. She stayed, opened her eyes, sat up fast. Are you okay? Do you need? I'm fine. He tried to sit up, winced. No, you're not. Lie down. Lila. Lie down. He obeyed, and maybe it was the pain or the exhaustion or the way she looked at him, like he mattered, but he started talking. My father was a good man, he said quietly. Kind. Honest. Too honest for the world we lived in. They killed him for it. Made an example. He stayed at the ceiling. I was 8. I watched it happen. Couldn't stop it. Couldn't save him. Lila's hand found his. Squeezed gently. My mother said I had to be harder. Stronger. That love was a weakness men like us couldn't afford. His voice cracked. She was right. Every person I've ever cared about has died or left or betrayed me. Every single one. Not everyone, Lila whispered. He looked at her. Not yet. I'm still here. Because I won't let you leave. No. She leaned closer. Because I don't want to. Something broke in Dante's eyes. Something he'd been holding back for too long. You should want to, he said hoarsely. You should run from me. I'm dangerous, Lila. Everything I touch turns to ash. Then let me burn. Dante closed his eyes, exhaled shakily, and Lila stayed, her hand in his, her heart in pieces, knowing that whatever this was, this tangled, impossible thing between them, it was already too late to walk away. For 3 days, Dante was weak. He tried to hide it, tried to work from bed, to answer calls, to pretend the wound was nothing. But Lila saw through it. Saw the way he winced when he moved. The way sweat beaded on his forehead when he thought she wasn't looking. The way his hands shook when he reached for his phone. She stayed with him. Brought him food he barely ate. Changed his bandages. sat beside him in the dark when the pain kept him awake. "You don't have to do this," he said one night. "I know." "Then why?" She didn't answer. Couldn't. Because the truth was too complicated. Too frightening. Because somewhere between captivity and care, between fear and fascination, she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She'd started to love him. Not the easy kind of love. Not the kind that made sense. But the desperate, aching kind. The kind that hurt. The kind that knew better and didn't care. On the fourth day, he was strong enough to get out of bed. Strong enough to go back to work. She heard him on the phone that afternoon, his voice hard and cold again. The voice of a man who made people disappear. She realized she'd almost forgotten that side of him. The dangerous side. The side that lived in shadows and blood. That night, men came to the house. She heard them in Dante's office. Raised voices. Arguments. The kind of conversation that ended with someone dead. She pressed her ear to the door. "Can't keep protecting her, Dante. The Moschetti family knows she's here. They'll use her to get to you. Let them try. You're being reckless. This isn't like you." "I don't care." "You should. You're risking everything for a woman you barely know." Silence. Then Dante's voice, low and deadly. "She's not up for discussion. Anyone who touches her dies. Spread the word." Lila stepped back from the door, her heart pounding. The men left. She heard the front door close. Heard Dante's footsteps in the hall. She should have gone back to her room. Should have pretended she hadn't been listening. But she didn't. She waited. When he rounded the corner and saw her standing there, he stopped. "How much did you hear?" "Enough." Her voice trembled. "Who are the Moschetti family?" Dante's jaw tightened. "No one you need to worry about." "Don't do that. Don't shut me out. Not now." She moved closer. "You're risking your life for me. I deserve to know why." "Because I chose to." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one you're getting." Lila felt frustration burn in her chest. "I'm not some helpless thing you can just lock away and protect. I have a right to." "You have a right to live." His voice cut through hers like a blade. "That's all that matters." "To you, maybe. But what about me? What about what I want?" "What you want will get you killed." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." He stepped closer. Close enough that she could see the exhaustion carved into his face. "Because I've seen it happen. Over and over. People I cared about. Dead because of me. Because of what I am." "Then maybe you should stop caring." "I've tried." His voice broke. "God, Lila, I've tried." The air between them felt electric. Charged. Dangerous. "The Moschetti family," he said finally. "They are my rivals. My enemies. And they know that the fastest way to destroy me is through you." "Then let me go. If I leave, they'll find you. Kill you. Use your body to send me a message." His hands clenched into fists. "I won't let that happen." "So what's the plan? Keep me here forever?" "If I have to." "That's not a life." "It's better than death." Lila shook her head. "You don't get it. This," she gestured around, "this cage you've built? It's beautiful. It's safe. But it's still a cage. And I'm dying in it." Dante looked at her like she'd struck him. "Then what do you want me to do?" His voice was raw. "Tell me, Lila. What do you want?" "I want you to trust me. I want you to let me help instead of treating me like I'm made of glass. I want," she stopped, swallowed hard. "I want to matter for more than just being another person you have to protect." "You do matter." "Then prove it. Stop making decisions for me. Stop locking me away. Stop." He kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't soft. It was desperate and rough and full of all the things he'd been holding back. His hands came up to frame her face. His body pressed against hers. And Lila felt everything inside her ignite. She kissed him back. Hard. Her fingers tangling in his shirt. Her body itching into his. All the fear, all the frustration, all the impossible feelings she'd been drowning in, they all poured out in that moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. I can't lose you, he whispered. Then don't push me away. I'm trying to keep you alive. I'm already alive. Now let me live. Before we close this chapter, take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, and check the description box below. Every small gesture helps the next story find its way to you. Dante pulled back, looked at her with something close to anguish. If I do this, he said slowly, if I bring you into my world completely, there's no going back. You'll see things, know things, become things you can never undo. I'm already in your world, Dante. I have been since the night you left that wallet. He closed his eyes, exhaled. Tomorrow, he said. Tomorrow, I'll show you who I really am. And then you can decide if you still want to stay. The next morning, Dante woke her before dawn. Get dressed, he said. Something dark, something warm. She didn't ask questions, just obeyed. 20 minutes later, they were in his car, driving through the sleeping city, heading toward the docks. Where are we going? To see what I protect you from. The car stopped at an abandoned warehouse. Dante got out, came around to open her door. Last chance, he said. You can stay in the car. I'll tell you everything when I get back. Lila shook her head. I'm going with you. Something like pride flickered in his eyes. They walked inside together. The warehouse was full of men. Dante's men, all armed, all watching as their boss walked in with a woman no one had ever seen before. In the center of the room, tied to a chair, was a man, bloody, beaten, barely conscious. Lila's stomach lurched. Dante walked up to the man, crouched down in front of him. Who sent you? The man spat blood, said nothing. Dante stood, pulled a gun from his jacket, pressed it to the man's temple. I'll ask once more. Who sent you? Lila's heart stopped. The man laughed. A wet, ugly sound. You're dead, Moetti. You and your little. Dante pulled the trigger. The sound echoed through the warehouse. The man slumped forward. Lila couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't. Dante turned to her. His face was emotionless, the gun still in his hand. This is who I am, he said quietly. This is what I do. Lila stared at him, at the blood, at the body, and then she did the only thing she could. She walked toward him. His eyes widened. Lila! She took the gun from his hand, set it aside. Then she reached up and touched his face. I know who you are, she whispered. You should be afraid. I am. Her voice cracked, but not of you. Dante stared at her. Then he pulled her into his arms, held her so tightly she could barely breathe. And Lila understood. She'd crossed the line. There was no going back now. They didn't talk on the drive back. Dante kept his eyes on the road, his jaw tight, his hands gripping the wheel like it was the only thing keeping him tethered. Lila sat in the passenger seat, her mind replaying the moment over and over, the sound of the gunshot, the man's body going limp, the emptiness in Dante's eyes. She should have been horrified, should have demanded he take her anywhere but back to his house, should have run. But all she felt was a strange, terrible clarity. This was his world. Violence and blood and choices that left no room for mercy. And if she stayed, if she chose him, this would be her world too. When they got back to the house, Dante went straight to his office, locked the door. She heard him on the phone, that cold, commanding voice giving orders, arranging things, cleaning up the mess. She went to her room, stood under the shower until the water ran cold, trying to wash away what she'd seen, trying to understand what she felt. Hours later, there was a knock on her door. Lila. Dante's voice. Can I come in? She opened the door. He stood there, still in the same clothes, blood gone but exhaustion carved deep into his face. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" "For making you see that. You didn't make me. I chose to be there." He looked at her like he was trying to understand a puzzle he couldn't solve. "You should hate me." "I should." She stepped back, letting him in. "But I don't." Dante walked to the window, stayed out at the city. "That man I killed, he was hired to kidnap you, torture you, make me watch while they destroyed you piece by piece." His voice was flat, empty. He had photos, plans, your name written on a list of targets. Lila felt ice slide down her spine. "There are 5 more like him," Dante continued, "all looking for you, all waiting for the moment I let my guard down." He turned to face her. "So no, I'm not sorry I killed him. I'm only sorry you had to see it." "How do you live like this?" she whispered. "I don't." He crossed the room, stopped in front of her. "I survive. That's all I've ever done." Lila reached up, touched his face. "That's not true." "What else is there?" "This." She leaned up and kissed him. Soft, gentle, a promise and a question all at once. Dante responded like a man breaking. His arms came around her, pulling her close. The kiss deepened, grew hungry, desperate, like he was trying to prove she was real, that this moment was real. When they finally broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. "I don't deserve you," he whispered. "Maybe not. But you have me anyway." That night, everything changed. They talked until dawn. Really talked. He told her about his childhood, the violence, the fear, the way his mother's love had been sharp and cold, teaching him that survival meant becoming something less than human. He told her about the first man he killed, how he'd thrown up afterwards, how his mother had slapped him and told him to be stronger. He told her about the empire he'd built, the blood it cost, the people he'd lost, and Lila listened, held his hand, didn't flinch. Then she told him her own story, growing up poor, watching her mother work 3 jobs and still come up short, learning that the world didn't care how hard you tried, that survival meant swallowing your pride and smiling at people who look through you. "We're not so different," she said quietly. "Yes, we are. You're good. You're the man who saved me, who's keeping my mother alive, who's trying so hard to protect me that you're willing to become the monster in my nightmares." She squeezed his hand. "That's not evil, Dante. That's love." He looked at her like she'd just spoken a language he'd forgotten existed. "I don't know how to do this," he admitted. "I don't know how to let someone in without destroying them." "Then we'll figure it out together." The next few days were different. Softer. Dante still worked, still disappeared into his office for hours, still took calls that made his voice go cold. But he came back to her. Always. They ate dinner together, talked about small things, books, music, places they'd never been. He laughed once, a real laugh, and the sound was so unexpected that Lila almost cried. But the danger didn't go away. It came back in the middle of the night. Lila woke to the sound of breaking glass, alarms blaring, shouting. She sat up, heart pounding. The door burst open. Dante, gun in hand, blood on his shirt, not his. "Get up, now." "What's happening?" "They're here." He pulled her out of bed, out of the room, down the hall. Behind them, she heard gunshots. More shouting. The sound of men dying. "How many?" she gasped. "Too many." They reached his office. He locked the door, went to the wall, pressed a panel. It slid open, revealing a hidden room. "Get in." "What about you?" "I'll handle this." "Dante." "Get in." He pushed her toward the opening. "There's a passage. It leads to the garage. Keys are in the black car. Drive north. Don't stop. Don't look back. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. Yes, I do. She grabbed his face, made him look at her. I'm staying. Lila. I'm staying. Dante's eyes went wide. Then he kissed her, hard and fast and full of everything he couldn't say. Then stay behind me. And when I tell you to run, you run. They went back into the hall together. The house was a war zone. Dante moved through it like death incarnate, precise, lethal, terrifying. Lila stayed behind him, her heart hammering so hard she thought her ribs might crack. She'd never seen violence like this. Not in movies. Not in nightmares. This was real. Men bleeding on marble floors. Bodies dropping. The smell of gunpowder and fear. Dante never hesitated. Never faltered. He moved like this was what he was born for. And maybe it was. They made it to the main hall. His men were there, the ones who'd survived. Maybe 12. Maybe fewer. All armed. All watching their boss with the kind of loyalty that only came from blood and fear. Status. Dante barked. North Wing is secure. They came through the east gate. 20 men, maybe more. The Mocchettis. Yes, sir. Dante's jaw tightened. He turned to Lila. Go. Now. Take the passage. No. Lila. An explosion rocked the house. The chandelier swayed. Glass shattered. Dante grabbed her arm. You want to stay? Fine. But you do exactly what I say. Understood? She nodded. He handed her a gun. She stayed at it. I don't know how to. Safety off. Point. Pull the trigger. That's all you need to know. The weight of it in her hand felt wrong. Felt like holding death. Another explosion. Closer this time. They are breaching the south wall, one of Dante's men shouted. Fall back. Defensive positions. Protect the girl. The men moved. Dante pulled Lila toward the staircase. But they didn't make it. Men poured through the front door. Armed. Masked. Moving like soldiers. Gunfire erupted. Dante shoved Lila behind a pillar. Returned fire. Men dropped. But more came. Too many. She saw one of Dante's men go down. Then another. The Mocchetти soldiers were closing in. Surrounding them. Dante reloaded. His face was carved from stone. But she saw it, the calculation in his eyes. The realization. They weren't going to win this. Lila, he said quietly. When I tell you, you run. You get to that passage. You drive north and you never look back. I won't leave you. You don't have a choice. I do. And I'm choosing you. He looked at her then. Really looked. And something broke behind his eyes. I love you, he said. The words hung in the air. Impossible. True. Before she could answer, a voice called out. Moetti. The gunfire stopped. Silence fell, thick and suffocating. A man stepped through the smoke. Older. Gray-haired. Expensive suit. He smiled like a shark. Vittorio Mocetti, Dante breathed. Hello, Dante. Vittorio's eyes slid to Lila. And this must be the girl who's caused so much trouble. Let her go, Dante said. His voice was calm. Deadly. This is between us. Oh, I agree. But you see, I've learned something about you, Dante. Something I never thought possible. Vittorio's smile widened. You care about her. You love her. And that makes her leverage. Touch her and I'll bane your entire family to the ground. You're in no position to make threats. Dante's men were outnumbered 3-1. Surrounded. Outgunned. Vittorio knew it. Here's what's going to happen, he said. You're going to put down your weapon. You're going to surrender. And then we're going to have a long conversation about territory and respect and the price of defiance. And how? She comes with us. Insurance. No. Then we kill everyone in this room, including her. Dante's finger tightened on the trigger. She could see him calculating. weighing options. Lives against lives. Don't, Lila whispered. He looked at her. Don't let them win, she said. Not like this. Dante's jaw clenched. Then he lowered his gun. Good choice, Vittorio said. Now. Lila raised her gun, pointed it at Vittorio. Every weapon in the room swung toward her. Lila, no, Dante started. Shut up. Her voice was steady, stronger than she felt. You want to kill him? You'll have to kill me first. Vittorio laughed. Brave. Stupid, but brave. Maybe, but I'm also the reason you're here. The reason you think you can hurt him. She took a step forward. So how about this? You let everyone go. And I come with you. Willingly. No. Dante's voice cracked. Lila, don't. It's my choice. I won't let you. You don't get to make it for me. She looked at him. At the man who'd saved her. Protected her. Loved her. At the man who would die for her if she let him. I'm not losing you, she said softly. Not today. Then she turned back to Vittorio. Do we have a deal? Vittorio studied her, then nodded. We have a deal. Lila. Dante moved toward her. She shook her head. I love you too. Remember that. Then she walked forward. Let Vittorio's men take her. Let them lead her out of the house. The last thing she saw was Dante's face. Broken. Enraged. Helpless. And she knew, whatever happened next, whatever price she paid, it was worth it. Because he would live. And that was all that mattered. They kept her in a basement for 3 days. Not Vittorio. His people. Men who didn't speak, didn't explain, just brought her food she couldn't eat and water she forced down. The room was cold. Concrete walls. A single bulb overhead. No windows. She didn't know where Dante was. If he was alive. If he was coming. She didn't know anything. On the 4th day, the door opened. Vittorio walked in. Miss Carson, I hope you've been comfortable. She didn't answer. You're braver than I expected, he said. Most people would be begging by now. What do you want? Initially, leverage. A way to control Dante Moetti. But now. He pulled out a chair. Sat down. Now I'm curious. What is it about you that made him weak? I didn't make him anything. No? Then why did he lower his weapon? Why did he let you walk away? Vittorio leaned forward. What hold do you have over him? Love. Vittorio laughed. Love. In our world, love is just another word for liability. Maybe that's why your world is dying. His smile faded. Careful, Miss Carson. You're only alive because I allow it. Then kill me, or let me go. But stop wasting my time. Vittorio stood. You have spirit. I'll give you that. He walked to the door. Paused. Dante has 48 hours. He brings me what I want, or you die. Slowly. He'll kill you first. Perhaps, but you'll still be dead. He left. Lila sat in the dark and tried not to cry. Tried not to think about Dante. About the look on his face when she'd walked away. Asterisk I love you too. Remember that asterisk. She hoped he heard her. Hoped he understood. 4 to 7 hours later, they came for her. Not Vittorio's men. Dante's. The door exploded inward. Gunfire. Shouting. Then silence. A figure appeared in the doorway. Tall. Familiar. Lila. She looked up. Dante. He crossed the room in 3 strides. Pulled her into his arms. Held her so tightly she couldn't breathe. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I should have. I'm okay. You're not. He pulled back. Checked her over. Did they hurt you? No. Vittorio. Dead, one of his men said from the doorway. The whole family. It's done. Dante exhaled. Then he looked at her. I burned it all down, he he said quietly. Everyone who touched you, everyone who threatened you, they are gone. Dante. I know it doesn't fix anything, doesn't make what happened okay, but I needed you to know. His voice cracked. I would destroy the world for you. Lila touched his face. I know. Don't ever do that again. Don't ever trade yourself for me. Then don't make me choose. He kissed her, soft, gentle, like he was afraid she might break. Let's go home, he whispered. 6 months later, Lila stood on the balcony of a different house. Smaller, quieter, overlooking the ocean instead of the city. Dante's arms came around her from behind. What are you thinking about? He asked. The diner. The wallet. How strange it is that everything started with such a small thing. Not so small. He kissed her temple. You could have kept it, could have walked away. So could you. No. His arms tightened. I really couldn't. Her mother had recovered, was living in a cottage nearby, visiting often, baking too much and telling Lila she worried too much. The doctors had called it a miracle. Lila called it Dante. He'd left the life, or as much as anyone could leave that world, sold his territory, settled his debts, made arrangements that kept them safe, kept them free. It wasn't perfect. There were still nights when he woke up sweating, reaching for weapons that weren't there. Still moments when she saw the darkness in his eyes and knew he was remembering all the things he'd done. But they were building something new. Together. Do you regret it? She asked. Everything you gave up. Dante turned her to face him. I gave up nothing. I gained everything. If stories like this linger in your heart long after they end, don't leave just yet. Like, comment, subscribe, and check the description box below, and let the next story find you when the night grows quiet again. Lila leaned into him, felt his heartbeat against hers. Steady, real. She thought about the girl she'd been 6 months ago, waking double shifts, drowning in debt, invisible to everyone except the one man who'd seen her completely. She thought about the wallet, the test she hadn't known she was taking, the choice that changed everything. And she understood something now that she hadn't then. Love wasn't always gentle. Sometimes it was violent and terrifying and cost more than you ever thought you could pay. Sometimes it was a cage and a key and a war all at once. But it was also freedom. The strangest, most impossible freedom. I love you, she whispered. I know, Dante said. You told me. The night you saved my life. You saved mine first. Then we even. No. She smiled. We're just beginning. The sun set over the ocean. The waves crashed below. And Lila Carson, the girl who'd returned a wallet, who'd chosen love over safety, who'd walked into darkness and found light, stood in the arms of the man she'd saved and been saved by. And for the first time in her life, she felt whole.